Dear brothers and sisters, we're still continuing to talk about Surah Al-Alaq, and we have to always stop and think lots and ponder in this magnificent event that happened to the Prophet ﷺ in that cave, the Ghar Hira. This is the event that basically changed the face of this earth and changed the course of history. Through this event, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has saved millions and millions of people from the fire of hell. Through this connection between the heavens and earth, Jibreel alayhi salam coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to talk to this human being, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and to us and to everyone who comes after the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam till the day of judgment. It is through this event that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opened our eyes to the ghaib. Nobody knew or knows exactly what is going to happen, and there's no evidence. And even people know some from the previous religions, but so much was lost, and the miracles of the previous prophets cannot be regenerated so that we can believe in them. Like now we believe in the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ because we see his miracles in front of our eyes, in the Quran and in his sayings, in the Sharia that he left, in the legacy that he left behind, that everything is documented. Now we can verify that he was a prophet, and we can verify that every prophet before him, he mentioned in the Quran, is a prophet. Before this and without this, you have no way of verification that Isa alayhi salam was a prophet, Musa alayhi salam was a prophet. You cannot believe in those prophets except through the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that is why even in the day of judgment, when the followers of those prophets come, and the ummah of those prophets and those people who denied them and rejected them say, no, we don't know you, you are not a prophet. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would ask this prophet, who will bear witness for you? He would say this ummah, the ummah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because we have the evidence that Jesus was a prophet and Moses was a prophet, Musa alayhi salam, through what Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has taught us, and the miracles that he left behind. That these miracles, when you see them, you have full and firm belief in every single word that is contained in the Quran and Sahih Sunnah and in the authentic Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And only through that way you can believe in the prophets. This is a magnificent event that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chooses Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam from humanity at a time where everybody or almost everybody was going astray. There was no light, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought this magnificent light. Anybody who wants to go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and make a connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all he has to do is open this book and learn from this Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we have to ponder on this event, Bad' Nuzul al-Wahy. This is why Imam Bukhari, in his book, before putting any other hadith, he put the hadith of Bad' Nuzul al-Wahy, the hadith that talks about this event and how the revelation started to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because only through that belief that this is a true revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you take every single word, not every single word, but every single letter in the Quran and in the sayings of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam seriously, and you know that they are the truth and nothing but the truth, and that they will have the full impact in your life and the life of this humanity. So we think about what happened to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in that cave, and the encounter between him and the messenger Jibreel alayhi salam, bringing the revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We also think about the first words that were revealed to this Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, showing the importance of learning and reading and writing in those words that are definitely not the product of that environment where there were no books and no schools and very limited number of readers who can just barely read or write. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the first topic he talks about in this revelation to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is reading, writing and documenting and using the pen. This is the first revelation, the first 5 ayat. The second surah that was revealed to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is basically Surah Noon, wal qalam wa ma yasturun. Subhanallah. Noon is a letter, al qalam is what you use to write, wa ma yasturun is the book. Subhanallah. And then this ummah falls behind and neglects learning, and learning doesn't only mean learning religion. Learning means learning every kind of science that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given a human being access to. Muslims, it's a very big shame on us that the first words revealed to us, talk to us about writing and learning and documenting, and we are the worst in this matter in this era. Subhanallah. Only when we took this guidance and this teaching from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala seriously at the very beginning, that we had a ranking amongst the other nations. And we actually suddenly we sped to become the leaders of all humanity. Only when we took these teachings seriously. But when you find that a great number of Muslims now don't even pray or don't even read the Quran, don't even raise their hand to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help, what do you expect our condition will be? In the last khutbah I talked about this matter, that this ummah can only go back to its leading position, only go back to its strength and dignity and honor again if it goes back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Without that, we can only expect humiliation and destruction for this ummah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from this horrible status that we are in right now. So this surah, in addition to that, talks about many other topics. It talks about the recurrent story of this human being, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates him and gives him and provides for him and nourishes him and teaches him. And what is expected from this human being when Allah, the creator, does all this for him is basically to be grateful and thankful and to worship Allah and obey him. But what happens is the exact opposite. كَلَّا إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَيَطْغَى أَنْ رَآهُ اسْتَغْنَى. The human being rejects all this and becomes arrogant and even disbelieves in his Lord. لَيَطْغَى أَنْ رَآهُ اسْتَغْنَى. Because he feels that he is self-sufficient. He has become self-sufficient only by the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If Allah did not create you, you would not be here. If Allah did not feed you, you would not live. If Allah did not provide you with the wealth, you cannot sustain yourself or your children. But Allah has given you all this, and all you give back is rejection. كَلَّا إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَيَطْغَى أَنْ رَآهُ اسْتَغْنَى. And that's because you feel self-sufficient, you feel strong now. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us in many areas, in many parts of the Quran. هَلْ أَتَى عَلَى الْإِنسَانِ حِينٌ مِنَ الدَّهْرِ لَمْ يَكُنْ شَيْئًا مَذْكُورًا. Didn't a time come where a human being was not even to be mentioned? This whole humanity, there came a time that there was no human beings on earth. There came a time where I was not on earth, you were not on this earth. And nobody even knew your name. Even your name was not known. Your existence, and there will be somebody with this name, with this kind of life, was not even to be thought of, subhanAllah, maybe 2 generations ago. And Allah makes you and gives and provides for you, and then you forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah save us from this ignorance. Now, كَلَّا إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَيَطْغَى أَنْ رَآهُ اسْتَغْنَى. إِنَّ إِلَى رَبِّكَ الرُّجْعَى. Allah here teaches us that Allah doesn't have to show you your punishment right away in this dunya. إِنَّ إِلَى رَبِّكَ الرُّجْعَى. You are going back to Him. And this is the biggest problem for people who run away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are deceived by the fact that Allah is still providing for them. They are deceived by the fact that they are still living and they are still wealthy. They are still healthy. They still have their power. They are deceived by the fact that people are still under them and they have all these soldiers and they have killed so many hundreds and thousands of people and they are still living. They think that the story is over. And wallahi subhanahu wa ta'ala, the story has not begun. The story of punishment and torment and pain for those people has not even started. It only starts after death. Inna ila rabbika ar-ruj'a. Me and you, when somebody has done something wrong for us and we have a chance to get back at them, whenever we get this chance, we immediately take advantage of it. Why is that? Because we are weak. Because we don't know that we will ever get this chance again. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that everything is in His hands. He will get you anytime. You are going back to Him anyway. He can just stop your breathing at any second and then you would die. He can just stop your heart from beating. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made this dunya for trial. And that is why we see these tyrants still living and still enjoying. Don't be deceived by this. لا يغرنك تقلب الذين كفروا في البلاد. Don't be deceived by the looks. The punishment has not started. And the pleasure for those believers who wake up in the middle of the night and leave their beds to come and pray for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who leave whatever they desire and fast for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who give the money that they love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The pleasure and reward has not started yet. Has not started. You cannot even imagine what is awaiting them. What is awaiting for them. فَلَا تَعْلَمُ نَفْسٌ مَا أُخْفِيَ لَهُ مِنْ قُرَّةِ أَعْيُنٍ. No human being can even think or begin to think the reward and the pleasure that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has in store for them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us amongst those people. Ameen. And this is the same concept is mentioned at the end of the surah. Allah talks about Abu Jahl and what he was doing to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He even wanted to put his foot on the neck and face of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam while he's making sujood in front of Kaaba. This is what he said. He said, I don't want to see you making sujood in this place. And he told his followers, how can you leave this man make sujood? يَعَفِّرْ وَجْهَهُ بَيْنَ أَظْهُرِكُمْ. How can he make sujood amongst you? If I see him, I will put my foot on the back of his head and really basically put his face in the dirt. Subhanallah. This is what he said. And this is what is mentioned in Surah. أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يَنْهَى عَبْدًا إِذَا صَلَّى. And then Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he heard them, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam threatened him back. And then Abu Jahl said, how can you threaten me? Is there anybody stronger than me who has more followers and more supporters than me in this town? This is what he said. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَلْيَدْعُ نَادِيَ. Let him bring his supporters. سَنَدْعُ الزَّبَانِيَ. I will bring the malaika of the fire of hell. Zabaniya are the malaika, the angels of the fire of hell. Allah didn't say that He will destroy him right there and there in this dunya, although Allah destroyed him. But this is not the rule. So if you see the destruction of the tyrant, this is just an example Allah is giving you of His qudra. But it doesn't have to happen. The tyrant may live a very luxury life and enjoy so many things and live 90 years or 100 years. Don't be deceived by the looks. The punishment has not started. سَنَدْعُ الزَّبَانِيَ كَلَّا لَا تُطِعْهُ وَاسْجُدْ وَاقْتَرِبْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, no, don't listen to him. Bow down and prostrate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَاقْتَرِبْ, and come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this surah also teaches us that you should not listen to anybody who tries to sway you away from your religion. This is what happened with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah said, كَلَّا لَا تُطِعْهُ. Don't even listen to him. وَاسْجُدْ وَاقْتَرِبْ. Come and pray and make sujood for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I mentioned some numerical correlations. Inshallah, maybe I mentioned them after the khutbah because of the time.